And so this morning we got the new version update, we got the character set. We're going to talk about that more so later tomorrow because we have a lot to talk about today. But for today's video, we are going to talk about our first signs of what the 8th anniversary characters will be because courtesy of Heeken, we have new skills DATAMINED. And keep in mind, when it comes to these skills that were just DATAMINED, it can be for part 1 or it can be for part 2. I'm going to assume here that one of the skills will be for the upcoming second part of the anniversary. So let's talk about the new skills coming to the game. First up, we have Get Boost Gauge, Attack Hit Up Number. Now, for those that are wondering, what does this mean? For starters, it means we are getting a new Gauge character. Gauge has kind of been the new mechanic that Caleb introduced last year for the 7th anniversary, and I do like that they aren't just giving up on it. We have seen a few times, unfortunately, where a new mechanic gets introduced, we maybe get 1 or 2 characters, and then it's basically done with. Would still love to see some of those old mechanics return, but in this case, Gauge has gotten a few new characters since its introduction on the 7th anniversary, and every iteration of a Gauge character, they've just been different in terms of what skills they get when the gauge is full. And in this case, it looks like, given the name of the skill, is that when this character gets the gauge at full completion, they are going to get an additional Frenzy or Flurry. I'm going to go ahead and assume this is going to be for an SP character, and therefore they're going to get an additional Frenzy. Now, I'm also going to assume the character itself will have Frenzy +2 built into the character, so assuming in this case, this might be our very first character to get Frenzy +3 outside of Arena, but the catch is it's only when the gauge is at full completion. And that in and of itself is already super crazy, especially given the fact that the character will probably also have an additional 100% Berserker when the gauge is full. So at that point, it's just the damage output is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And that's essentially the first skill. So the main thing to take away from that is that we are going to get a gauge character for the anniversary. Again, it could be part 2, it could be part 1. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's going to be part 1 of the anniversary. That's going to be our new gauge character. And if we actually have a look at the current gauge characters in-game, there are 2 technique, there is 1 heart, and there's also 1 speed. Coincidentally, we made a video talking about the upcoming anniversary characters' attributes and what they're most likely going to be, and what do you know, the 2 attributes that are uncovered here for the gauge character is a power and mind character. Now, just because they haven't been done before doesn't mean they're guaranteed here, but I feel like it's very, very likely this upcoming anniversary is going to feature either a mind or power character in part 1, and it appears that one of those characters will be the gauge character, potentially getting damage upwards to Frenzy +3. Now for our next skill, and this was something that I was really hoping not to see, it's another Brave Battle skill, which therefore means we're getting another Brave Battle character, keeping up with the tradition, I guess, that part 2 is going to give us another Brave Battle character. Now who could that character be? I have no idea, but the skill they are going to pick up is as follows: is invalid super armor. Now super armor, for those that aren't aware, is poise. In Japan they call it super armor, and what this essentially means is that they are going to just ignore poise, and that's the first time we're seeing this. I think it's quite a broken skill. One of the main requirements to be a Brave Battle character is the poise, because you don't take stagger effects when getting hit, and if you played with a character in Brave Battles that doesn't have poise, you know, they spend a lot of the time just wasting going through that animation of them getting hit. And that overall slows their DPS down. It's kind of why you don't see any character without poise in Brave Battles. So this new Brave Battle character is definitely setting up to be one of the better characters in that sense, because whatever character it does go against, they are going to have the natural advantage because they won't have to waste time getting staggered. And it's my hope this upcoming Brave Battle character isn't another invincible character. For the most part, the Brave Battle meta has been actually quite healthy. You can generally use a lot of different characters when compared to a year or 2 ago. And if we get another invincible character, it would be kind of annoying. So I am hoping this character does not have invincibility, so we can still potentially use our SP characters to counter them, but it would also be kind of funny to see this character go against themselves, because at that point, they're also not going to have poise, right? They're both going to ignore each other's poise. But yeah, that's really all there is to talk about when it comes to this particular skill. Main thing to take away from this, though, is that there is a new Brave Battle character that is going to ignore the skill poise. What else will they have? We're not really too sure. Last up, though, for our final DATAMINED skill, we have the following: has defeat the enemy, damage up, plus a new enemy kill counter mechanic. So we have a new mechanic coming to the game where every time the character kills an enemy, they get stronger. And there's also going to be a counter on your screen to show you how many enemies you have defeated. I kind of like the idea of this. I do really like it because we kind of have this in game right now. It's the combo mechanic. It's not really killing, its combo, right? And every time you build up that combo, you get a damage increase. It's never been that noticeable though, keep that in mind. But I believe when you reach like 100 combo or something like that, you get 10% more damage. It rewards you to a certain extent for not taking hits. In this case, there's going to be a counter on your screen. The more enemies you kill, the stronger the character gets. I like that. Obviously, this is going to be more PvE orientated. It's not going to be for Brave Battles. We kind of have that in Brave Battles where Yuha, for example, gets 20% more non-attack damage when an ally or an enemy gets defeated. This new skill isn't going to be for Brave Battles. It's going to be for PvE content, and it's going to be more so good in Arena, IT, for example, just those long-form contents, essentially excluding something like guild quests and also epic raids. But even then, to a certain extent, depending on how many kills you have to get that max damage threshold, it would still be good in guild quests because there are quite a few enemies in each given wave. But I feel like right now the better question is, what character will get this particular skill? Because if it is part 1 of the anniversary, that's the original design characters, and in that case, they can basically get any skill they want to. And since this is a new mechanic, it would probably be safe to assume part 1 will be getting it, right? However, if it is a part 2 skill, and that means a canon character is going to get it, because that's what part 2 should be, right? It's either going to be a really good like Dangai Ichigo premium banner, or it's going to be 1000 Year Blood War. I can't see it being anything else. And if it's 1000 Year Blood War, well, there's actually a character that has this skill as an ability in this series, and that character I'm talking about is actually Driscoll. His overkill shrift allows him to get stronger the more kills he gets. And if any other character but Driscoll gets this ability, I am going to be disappointed. And that's not even me saying I'm a massive Driscoll fan. This just makes perfect sense for a character like him, and we have kind of seen that in the past where characters get an ability that they have in this series, right? I think the best example would be someone like Uryu introducing Element Reversal because that was his shrift. He can reverse it. Drugum had the Brave Battle Invincibility and also counter because once more that's his ability. You damage him, you take damage back. Caleb have actually been quite good implementing new abilities in the game when it comes to 1000 Year Blood War banners, and in this case, tell me this is for a character that isn't Driscoll. This just makes perfect sense for the character like this, and that's kind of funny. The big question now, though, is Driscoll for part 2 of the anniversary? That's kind of weird. Driscoll isn't the most popular Sternritter. Then again, I don't think he would be the headliner. He would obviously be like just there for the most part, while the other 2 characters or one important, more popular character would get the spotlight. So it's not too far-fetched to say he could be in part 2 of the banner. And hypothetically, if we are now finally going to start getting 1000 Year Blood War content and 1000 Year Blood War characters based off the anime, well, then they want to do Core 1 stuff, right? And what better characters to do than the start of the invasion, the first set of Quincy's, the first set of fights that we see. Hypothetically, this banner could be someone like Driscoll. It could be maybe Marsty Masculine. Maybe he is going to be the Brave Battle character, and then maybe the headline for part 2 is going to be someone like Asnot, for example. Would that be an exciting part 2 banner? Let me know in the comments below. Just a bit of theories right now. I'd be personally down for it. I just think the addition of new characters in the game, whether it's popular or non-popular Sternritters, I'm going to be excited for, especially given the fact that we've been waiting 9 months for our next 1000 Year Blood War banner. But yeah, only time will tell. We'll find out basically within like the next 2 or so weeks what character will get this skill. This very well could be a skill for the part 1 characters. It could be for part 2. And at the same time, even if it is for part 2, it doesn't necessarily guarantee us a Driscoll character, because this could just be for any character in the game. Okay, I don't always have to be super accurate when it comes to skills on given characters, but this would just make most sense on Driscoll. But yeah, hope you liked and enjoyed the video. Let me know what you like to think about your skills in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.